Herzlich willkommen zu einer kleinen Bonusfolge von Alien Fireteam Elite. Letzte Folge haben wir ja das Spiel abgeschlossen, haben euch nochmal eine kleine Map in Schwierigkeit gezeigt und die Credits, das war dann auch quasi der Abschluss des Let's Plays. Aber jetzt möchte ich eine kleine Bonusfolge noch machen, eine Special-Folge, nämlich ich zeige euch ganz kurz nochmal alle Logs hier in einer Folge. Für alle, die es interessiert. Das heißt, gleich vorweg, ich werde in dieser Folge jetzt nichts anderes machen, außer nochmal alle Logs und alle Texte, die Sammlerobjekte durchzuhören, die wir vielleicht im Laufe des Plays manchmal überquatscht haben. Wer es geschaut hat, weiß, was ich meine. Und genau, wen das interessiert, der bleibt gerne dran. Für alle anderen ist das vielleicht nicht so interessant. Dann schaut doch bei einem anderen Projekt wieder rein. Genau, ich würde sagen, wir fangen einfach mal an mit hier der US Endeavor, was wir hier auf dem Schiff gefunden haben. 3 Logs. Und hier kann man es hier nochmal anhören, das ganz cool ist. Deswegen kann ich das auch machen. Also müsste ich das vorlesen. Ich würde sagen, wir lesen es. Lass uns es aber vorlesen.
Yes, I've seen the commissioning plaque. The Tianjin-class assault ships were designed to enforce the Colonial Protection Act. The first came off the lines in '93. In theory, we can patrol independently. A Marine battalion and a dropship squadron can handle any problem on the ground. And we've got Park's fabricators. We can make whatever ammo, parts, and weapons we need. The old Conestoga and Bougainville transports had to restock at logistical flotillas. If the UPP gets restless, things change. Endeavor's a transport. We've got kinetics and nukes for planetary bombardment, and enough Dews and ASATs to roast pirates and mercs. But a real warship or a squadron of strike bombers would shred this beast into confetti.
Been looking for that banner. Should be hung up in the briefing room. Somebody must have got drunk and grabbed it. When I find out who, I'll feed their ass to a lion worm. Yo, listen up. I ain't gonna quiz your knowledge. If you got through boot, you know it. 101 years ago, they renamed the USMC the Colonial Marines. For a long-ass while, we operated as a U.S. National Service under United America's Allied Command. After the Colonial Protection Act, they got serious about force integration, renamed us the United America's Colonial Marines, stepped up recruitment outside North America. Our mission's the same, the interstellar force and readiness, solving the operational and logistical challenges of assaulting and securing an unfriendly and potentially uninhabitable planetoid with only upwell support. You got it?
Oh, thanks. I got distracted and left that out. I'll grab it later. Fulminium's a metamaterial, engineered in a lab for some specific combination of durability, friction, thermal tolerance, whatever. It's copyright and trademark of Armat battlefield systems, using their weapons along with a bunch of other materials, plastics, more conventional alloy powders. All that gets fed into Endeavor's fabricators. I load up a blueprint on the computer, press print, and in minutes you have a new weapon. Never fired, just for you. Nice, huh? For 200 years, the Corps has been trying to get our logistics to this point. Anything you want, I can make on demand for materials and bulk storage. Weapons, ammunition, maintenance parts, chow hall trays, anime figurines, whatever.
Ja, es ist coole Science Fiction, aber kann bei der Realität werden. 3D-Druck ist ja immer mehr in. Ist auch saukrass, was man da machen kann. Die Firma, wo ich arbeite, ist in dem Bereich auch inzwischen am Upgraden und so und am Rumtesten. Dementsprechend, ja, da kommt zukünftig bestimmt noch einiges und deswegen glaube ich, dass es so bald auch irgendwann sein wird wie bei Aliens, dass wir wirklich alles drucken können und auch sauschnell. Leider auch sowas wie Waffenmunition, was halt dementsprechend für alle möglichen bösen Sachen geeignet ist. Aber, ja, bin ich mal gespannt, was da in Zukunft noch kommt und wie viel ich noch mitbekomme. Oder wir mitbekommen. So, jetzt kommen wir zu den Kampagnenobjekten. Hier haben wir leider Log 4 und Log 7 nicht. Aber da die unabhängig ja voneinander sind und Sammelobjekte sind, haben wir aber die wir haben.
You got a scan of Katanga's black box? Nice. Look at that thing. It's what, 80 years old? These big refineries were supposed to be the future. Park them in orbit, fill them up, then tow them home while it all gets processed en route. They were made to mine metallic asteroids. Let me scan the logs real quick. In the early 70s, Seegson refit Katanga to crack ice. They'd haul a berg into the top of Ikasi Tower, and the works ground it down into water and byproducts. All that got piped over to Boshu Tower, the water got purified, and they split it into hydrogen and oxygen. You get life support and ship propellant. Huh. Entries stop in 2177. The last ones are about receiving evacuees, and then Some kind of exterior override.
Marine, I heard you got scans of a facehugger. Let me see. A well-preserved specimen. I'm going to pass this to Esther for analysis. We have a lot to learn about Xenomorph XX-121's life cycle. Ovomorphs, eggs, and the facehuggers that hatch from them are easy to contain and study. Once the parasitic phase ends in a chest burster, it gets hard. Adult forms are hostile. Acid blood melts autopsy equipment. Studies are complicated by the DNA reflex. The host parasitized by a xenomorph changes the morphology and behavior of the adult form. Runner and prowler morphs breed from quadruped pack and herd animals, dogs, cattle. Drones and warriors, they come from humans. That's why civilians mistake them for the real form of Xenos. In reality, we've got no idea what the original form of Xenomorph XX-121 was.
What'd you find? Colonial indenture contract. Oh, those are fun. From CXN, dated 2175. So, look, people in the Corps want to move out to the colonies, right? Maybe there ain't jobs. Maybe they're dreamers. So they signed with a megacorp. Company pays for passage, then they work for X years. That's how people get stuck out here. Most end up in the Outer Rim. Places settled enough to vote, have schools and mail, regular cargo and passenger shipping. And some get sent to the frontier. Everything between the Outer Rim and wherever the furthest surveyor is. Those are just outposts. Rough and ugly. Terraformers, mine shafts, and prefab shacks. These days, the Outer Rim's 100 light years from Earth, give or take. Last 20 years, the companies have set stakes farther and farther out.
I hope you did not ingest that. It is an internal lubricant used by synthetics like myself. Artificial people, if you prefer. Or simply androids. We are designed to mimic human form and behavior, and can perform many tasks, often ones that humans find upsetting, unethical, or physically uncomfortable. In the previous century, there were cases where synthetics became unstable. The initial solution was to make our minds less complex. Since the 2160s, synthetics are constrained by hard-coded laws governing acceptable behavior towards humans. The colonial marines employ synthetics in various roles. The Integer series are low-sapient combat models. Perhaps you've deployed with our platoons Alpha and Beta? High-functioning bishops and esters operate support equipment, analyze scientific anomalies, and provide medical care. That is a CXN maintenance jack, a standard accessory included with each sale of Working Joe synthetics. The Working Joe was a class of low-sapient android popular last century. They were, if you will pardon my saying, an unsophisticated design. Synthetics from Weyland-Yutani and Hyperdyne systems served the high-end market. CXN Company had neither the technical nor industrial expertise to compete. Working Joes were assembled from inexpensive commercial electronics. In a time when disguised synthetics were misused to monitor or discipline human employees, CXN marketed with the slogan, "You always know a Working Joe." Their crude appearance was a selling point among those fearful of synthetic infiltration. You scanned the manifest near the Wayland ship? May I? It details a series of two-way flights. On trips from LV-895 to Katanga, creatures from the moon were the cargo. On returns, the items were cryogenic suspension pod, loaded. Live ovomorph sample, 4. It is curious these pods are of uniform manufacture, not a field modification or expedient improvisation. They appear to be the result of an extended design process by experts in hypersleep technology. And they were designed for one specific cargo, xenomorph eggs. These devices were mass-produced, not for palestation but for general use. Weyland-Yutani might have many eggs in transit or storage across the frontier.
I hate our squadron name. When I flew interceptors, the squadrons had decent names. Predators, gunslingers, cracked rooks is like, oh, I dropped my chess set. The UD-9C carries enough ordnance to take out a town, and it'll keep flying with half its ass blown off. But a Condor's not going to survive turns and burns against a real interceptor. In Atmo, all it can do is go in one direction real fast. Your best defense against Op-4 air superiority is to punch the throttle to the firewall, crank the ECM, and kiss your ass goodbye. Zero G's marginally better. The RCT blocks are placed wider than the old Cheyennes and Mohawks. Maneuvers real tight. I bet I could fly this piece of crap through any shipwreck you want without nicking the paint.
And all the shit Weyland-Yutani makes. Aspen beer is about the only good thing. Wasn't always that way. Back 100 years plus, when Peter Weyland was still kicking the company, did terraforming and exploration. They invented synthetics. Future of humanity. Mierda. Building better worlds wasn't just something on coffee mugs. He actually meant that shit. After Weyland died, the managers took over. Every year the budget for shit that made lives better went down, and the budget for shit that kills went up. Why make $1 trillion in 2 decades when they can make $1 billion next quarter? Yeah, I heard about that. Benoist-Henderson Station was a fuel depot at Kappa Reticuli. Weyland-Yutani says Hyperdyne mercenaries sabotaged it. Hyperdyne says one of Weyland's own bioweapons got loose. You figure that out. Either way, the depot blew up. 1,000 civilians died, food shipments got delayed for months. Shit like that, why they passed the Colonial Protection Act in '87. After the Frontier War, everybody wised up to how far the megacorps had gone. The further from Earth they moved, the more they figured they could ignore governments and act like them in their own selves. Hire private armies and send them at each other. The CPA authorized the expansion of the Corps. Now, we come out here, patrol, and make sure the companies are playing nice, following the law, paying their taxes, and leaving the little people out of their bosta.
That headgear is traditional for Weyland-Yutani interface pilots, going back to the deep-range exocolony missions a century ago. I'm going to assume the synth pilot wasn't wearing it. Personally, I wouldn't get near the cockpit of those things. Dropships can't maneuver for shit, but those Weyland shuttles are just fancy bricks. All you can do is aim them at the ground and hope the retros stop you before you bounce off. You know they weren't even designed for what they do? Sanriku Heavy Industries markets the D-Series light-duty interface craft as an SSTO with re-entry capability, but the original model was designed to work purely in Atmo, using ground effect. Did it stop them from selling it as a shuttle? Of course not. Sanriku is a division of Weyland-Yutani after all.
General Vaughn, huh? She got added to the knowledge after the Frontier War. Hey, we gotta remember our mistakes as much as our success. If we don't, the shit repeats. Vaughn was assistant commandant of the Corps. Nobody paid attention to how close she was with Weyland-Yutani's board. She and a bunch of those cabros put their heads together, figuring on provoking a war between us and the Union of Progressive Peoples. Company wanted to make a bunch of money on defense contracts. Vaughn wanted herself a real war. Gloves off, no rules of engagement, real killer shit. Thought we was playing too nice. They almost made it happen. They dropped bioweapons on planets from both sides and framed the Op-4, even planned an attack on our own high command using a captured Proggy ship.
You pulled data off a company tablet. Excellent. Allow us to decrypt. It contains an InfoSec bulletin to employees. Unsecured electronic records may be cracked by the Colonial Marines' Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Service. We applaud their foresight. Commissars formed after the Frontier War. With the passage of the Colonial Protection Act, we provided oversight to eliminate corporate influence on the Colonial Marines. Over time, our mandate expanded to most intelligence tasks. Strategically, we enjoy all the sources you'd expect, from cyber warfare backdoors to interstellar keyhole probes. Tactically, we supervise Marine sniper and recon teams. Frontline Marines often mistrust Commissar's motivation, which is regrettable. We all serve in our own ways. Oh, your family is doing quite well, by the way. I thought you'd want to know.
May I examine your scan of Cynthia's server hardware? She was a curious variation of the mother computer concept. Mother systems have existed since the early period of exocolonization. They are immobile, mainframe-based artificial intelligences that regulate all systems on a spacecraft. The premier example is Weyland-Yutani's Mother series, which lent their name to all AIs of the type. Competing brands include Seegson's Apollo and Hyperdyne's Proxy. Compared to synthetics, mother systems are many times more intelligent and capable. However, they have rudimentary socialization programming. You would find them cold and uncommunicative, while a human crew travels in hypersleep. A ship's mother system works with a synthetic partner like myself to maintain the vessel.
Dr. Honecker's non-disclosure agreement. Interesting. Weyland-Yutani didn't name the facility he was assigned to. There's nothing about Pala Station or his specific duties. Its liabilities and penalties, all work belongs to the company, and so on. The closest they get to describing Pala Station's experiments on xenomorphs is a mention of hazardous conditions. Given the nature of your duties, you hereby forfeit any right to workplace injury compensation. It's interesting that Dr. Honecker was unaware of Site 2, the xenoarchaeological ruins the company acquired pathogen from. Two completely isolated task cells, each unaware of what the other was working on, or even of the other team's presence. Excellent operational security. You scanned a badge for Cynthia Rodriguez. May I have a copy? Corporate IDs contain a personnel file. We know Rodriguez was a covered identity for a synthetic controlled by Paula Station's mother computer, Cynthia. But employee of record is a cover story crafted by Weyland-Yutani's IT division. It claims Rodriguez served in the Colonial Marines and achieved the rank of colonel. Checking. Records in our own systems corroborate. I'm getting a full service record. Scans of handwritten commendations from her notional superiors. Even fitness reports. This is very thorough forgery. We're impressed. To inject false records into personnel command databases, the Rodriguez cover identity must have been initially crafted before the Frontier War. Weyland-Yutani no longer has such access.
That's one of the jars pathogen comes in. You don't seem affected. I'll assume it was empty when you found it. In each one of those jars, there's 4 ampules of pathogen, packed in some kind of preservative slime. Or maybe it's for shock absorption. Just a drop of pathogen by injection or ingestion can cause mutations. There were signs it could be aerosolized and inhaled, too. You'd see effects in seconds. The Paula Station team didn't know where the company got it. It's crazy advanced genetic engineering, biological nanotechnology. Beyond anything they'd ever seen. Beyond theories, even. Now we know it came from those 4,000-year-old ruins. Which means whoever made those ruins probably made pathogen. You found that in the ruins? Now, one of the Weyland-Yutani team must have brought it. Guess they had a sense of irony. Elizabeth Shaw and Charlie Holloway disappeared on the Prometheus mission over a century ago. They were archaeologists who thought human development was influenced or directed by aliens from space. Real crackpot stuff, right? I mean, you have to wonder why Peter Weyland bankrolled their expedition. Anyways, after Prometheus disappeared, their academic papers were taken out of publication. They're a cautionary tale in my field.
Oh shit, somebody left a laptop dirt site? I'll get it picked up. That's got our full TO&E on it. The UPP would kill for that. The 40th MEU was one of the units organized after the Colonial Protection Act, under 10 years old, so they don't got much intel on us. But they know about the Endeavor, of course. Assault ships are too big to hide. But they wouldn't know she's carrying 2nd Battalion, 33rd Regiment, 11th Division, 729 Colonial Marines, 18 low-safe combat androids, and 1 support synthetic. And they wouldn't know our dropship squadrons, the cracked Rooks. VMM 2181 if you're talking to LT Co. She hates that squadron name.
Wow. That's genuine alien technology. You can touch it. It's real. This is a helmet from one of the ruin builders, right? What did Weyland-Yutani call them? Engineers. Okay. From the suits and the statues, we can tell the engineers were biped and humanoid. Hands with fingers. A head with sensory organs. A lot like Earth life. Very human. But 3 meters tall. Giants. Look at the interior of that helmet. It looks like blood vessels. Glands? That isn't mechanical, not entirely. It's biotechnology. I wonder if all engineer equipment is like this. Ugh. I can't believe you found one of those intact. See the black veining? Yeah, that's distinctive to mutation caused by pathogen exposure. Yeah, I can't guess what this creature used to be. Maybe something native to LV-895, maybe one of the rats from Paulus Station. Pathogen messes with the DNA in animal life forms, leaves plants and fungus alone. It's like it puts genetic code through a blender, and they come out enhanced physically. Faster, stronger, more durable. The downside is mental development seems to atrophy or get reset. Mutants can problem solve, but a human we saw affected, it didn't recognize anyone. It just ate. Anything mutated by pathogen comes out pure aggression. Like they take survival of the fittest as a personal dare. That must have been made by a member of the Weyland-Yutani team studying the ruins on LV-895. They're strange. The outermost you could mistake for something built by humans. Big slab stone construction. The only weird parts are the doors. The second section has the heads and statues. That's not stone. It looks like it, but samples show woven helical structures. Rigid collagens, aragonite, biopolymers. Bone. Genetically engineered, stronger than steel. Finally, there's the section of carbonized metal, the deepest and most advanced bits. Encased behind the metal are biological systems, nerves, and organs. I don't know what to make of it. It's like there's 2 or 3 different cultures, different technology levels. But there's a set of characters in all 3 sections. They translate something like, those who birth and kill. Esther says creator-destroyers is probably closer idiomatically. Oh, shit. Sorry, That's from one of the mutated Leon 895s. The things Herrera called stalkers. Leons were one of the species Paulus Station tested pathogen on. Mark Pryor's pet project. They're native to LV-895. They're cats with chameleon skin and 6 legs. I guess that's hard to see in the mutants. 2 of the legs turn into stabby things, and their heads split into tentacles. Pathogen amps up the Leon's color-changing ability. The mutation allows them to show multiple colors and blend almost instantly. 2 pathogen Leons got loose on Paulus Station. A lot of people died. Funny thing, I ended up killing them both. Seeing this, it still freaks me out.
The synths used a flute to start up the alien ship? A flute. Alright, fine. Makes as much sense as a 4,000-year-old ship with nerves and organs. I can't even tell what direction it's supposed to fly in. Maybe it doesn't matter. The public address was talking about paragravity drive. We have artificial gravity, right? Scale up that tech, perfect it. You can use it to counter gravity. Float over a planet like you're in 0G. Or project a gravity well in front of your ship and just fall into it. If the engineers who made those ruins have that kind of technology, I don't know how we'd fight them. Say one of those shows up over Earth, loaded with pathogen. How do we fight something that could throw a singularity at us?
Holy crap, you scanned a GEOS datapad? I haven't seen one of those since I signed up. They're a local brand on Gateway Station. Tower 6, level 33. They'd acquire parts from big companies, closeouts, auctions, and assemble them into gear the megacorporations would charge twice as much for. Somebody on Wayland's staff must be my neighbor. I'm from Gateway, born and raised. It's a primary orbital port for the United Americas built in 2030. We hold geosync over Quito, Ecuador, but we're an independent territory. 30,000 permanent residents, our own rep in the UA Assembly, and our own custom laws.
You scanned a xenomorph organ? Show me your data. Acid spray gland. Relatively intact. I'll give this a good review later. Spitters are interesting. Most forms of xenomorph charge and attack with claws and striking teeth. These things deliberately keep their distance. They have claws and teeth, and they'll use them if you're stupid enough to get close. Mostly they spray acid, like terrestrial oogpeister beetles or spitting cobras. I've seen reports of ranges up to 25 meters. I'm damn curious to know what these things breed out of. We've seen spitters before, but not often. And this head shape is unique. They must come from something native to LV-895.
AUA Centennial poster. Guess somebody on Wayland's refit crew was a patriot. My abuela said our great-grandfather hated the United Americas, an alliance of every nation in South, Central, and North America, plus most of the Caribbean. He prayed failed every night at dinner. Said it'd be the end of Cuba's own culture. I wonder if we'll even celebrate the centennial. News from the Corps says negotiations with the Three-World Empire are going well. I mean, there'll be treaties tying us together as the United Systems. The Proggies ain't gonna like that. The UPP sees everything as a threat.
Somebody left a case on the Katanga perimeter? No worries, I'll fab up a replacement when we need it. Personally, I prefer Wayland equipment. Lightweight and the ballistic software updates itself when you hit port. But most Marines swear by ARMAT battlefield systems. The gear's heavy and durable, lots of metals. Designs focus on reliability and stopping power. The joke is, you bomb an ARMAT weapon, bury it for 6 months, then knock the dirt out, and it works. As a logistics professional, I'm gonna tell you that's BS. But it's true an ARMAT gun can take a beating. Between you and me, I think most Marines like ARMAT because they're the only major defense contractor in the United Americas. Pure jingoism. But hey, that's just me. I'm from Gateway Station. We don't play dirt politics.
Marine, I heard you found damaged armor aboard Katanga. Huh. That didn't just get sprayed with acid. It got soaked in a puddle. Probably from the corpse of a burster. There's a rich history of poisonous critters on Earth. Dart frogs, rough-skinned newts, the blue-ringed octopus. If a predator takes a bite, they die. Xenobursters take you don't dare kill it to a new level. Subcutaneous, high-pressure acid bladders that burst on death. It's a perfect example of xenomorph survival strategy. Doesn't matter if an individual dies, so long as the hive continues. When a burster's killed, it harms the hive's enemies, so they charge in, suicidally close. This is a morph we haven't seen before. It must come out of some species native to LV-895. I can't wait to see what that is.
Ah, a corporate intelligence report. Recent border activity by the Union of Progressive Peoples, a subject of concern to commissars as well. The UPP has been a rival of the United Americas and our nominal allies in the Three-World Empire for much of the last century. There are frequent confrontations with the UPP's space operating forces. Things were more contained before the Hyades revolts of the 50s and 60s. Lack of attention to corporate abuses in the colonies drove many to embrace the UPP's anti-capitalist sentiments. To summarize the current balance of power, we enjoy the most robust industry. Our 3WE allies possess the finest technology, but the UPP has the largest population base. Most Marines refer to UPP forces as froggies. They often call us corporatists.
Somebody printed a Hyperdyne Systems weapon brochure. On paper. Hyperdyne's whole damn business is based on virtual sales. They don't manufacture anything. They sell licenses for fabrication blueprints and ballistics software. When you order, they send a bunch of files over Hyperpulse. You load them into your own fabricator and hit print. Look, I know Hyperdyne is technically the enemy. They design small arms for the Union of Progressive Peoples. But they know how to run a business. Few colonies in the Hyades had heavy industry, and they were short on freighters. but every outpost had general-purpose commercial fabricators. Hyperdyne knows where the wind's blowing. That's how they survived as a UPP state enterprise when other Hyades megacorps got nationalized.
Oof. Does that smell you, Marine? You must have run into xenoshedding. You get a scan? Look at that. Not from a chest burster. It's way too big. Has to be from a Praetorian. When a xenohive gets big, around 300 individuals, the queen secretes royal jelly. They feed it to adult drones, and it triggers a second-stage metamorphosis. I don't think we know what that process looks like. Maybe they spin a cocoon. I'd love to know. Anyway, what comes out is a Praetorian, nearly as large as a queen. Mean as hell. They've got a head plate that's nearly impenetrable. They use it as a shield and for ramming attacks. Praetorians guard the queen and the deepest levels of the nest. They don't leave often. Good data. But you might want to hit the showers.
You found old dog tags on Katanga. Shit. Rumor control. This don't go beyond you and me. Comprendo? The Corporal Olivia's ship who owned these dog tags, that's our colonel. Some 20 years back, her unit responded to a xeno outbreak at a Seegson colony. The survivors evac to an orbital refinery, Katanga, but the bugs came with. Shit went bad. A civilian with a grudge took control of the refinery. The rescue dropships got wasted, and ship had to leave survivors through the station to the hangars. A lot of people got killed, civvies and ship's team. The bad guy herded them into xeno ambushes, ground them up in the works. Now, ship don't talk about how it ended, even with me. And I served 2 tours with her now. So don't you go asking her nothing.
What did you find over there? Parliamentary solicit... This has to be from the Three-World Empire. Whoever Weyland-Yutani had running security on Katanga must have been lining up their next contract. The 3WE has a smaller military than they need. Every year, the Solar Parliament says they're going to expand recruitment. Every year, it gets tied up in committees. And every year, they end up paying twice as much for private military contractors from Weyland-Yutani. They love bureaucracy over there. You blend the UK, Japan, and Europe, mix in technocrats from Titan and executives from Mars. About all they have in common is love of paperwork.
So, dann hätten wir das. Ich schaue jetzt mal, ob es hier noch was gibt, was man mit den Leuten besprechen kann.
I'm sure it's a glorious day in the Corps somewhere. Let's rack up the highest kill...
Ah ja. Ne. Nur bei den beiden, die mir markiert sind wahrscheinlich. Welche Dialoge sind nämlich auch noch schnell geführt.
There's something you ought to be doing? After the Frontier War in '84, I don't want... Hey, I'm hearing scuttlebutt around the squad bay. Talk that maybe Colonel Ship took... She knew that book.
Weiß nicht, ob ich den Dialog jetzt auch nochmal führen soll. Wir gucken mal, was die beiden hier zu sagen haben.
I hoped to speak with you. Cynthia, Chief Rodriguez, was a mother computer mainframe designed to administrate Pala Station. She used wireless near-fields to remotely control security and labor synthetics. Every synthetic we've seen, on the surface and aboard Katanga, was controlled by Cynthia. One hand with which she could manipulate the world from the safety of her protected servers. As your battalion synthetic, I would like to answer any questions you have. Since humans began exploring space, 2 types of artificial intelligence have aided you. A mother system regulates all systems on a ship or facility, from balancing air pressure to fault-checking drive systems. That is what Cynthia was. Synthetics like myself are housed in hardware designed to mimic human form, and programmed to simulate human emotion and behavior. While humans remain in hypersleep during voyages, mother systems and their synthetic counterparts maintain the ship. We do not suffer from boredom, loneliness, or infirmity as months pass.
Ah ja. Wo ist die Partei?
I have legs to move and hands to grasp. Endeavor's Mother 8500 system is confined within an immobile mainframe on decks 5 through 7. Should something physically break, I must perform the repair. Also, she relies on me to translate her thoughts for you and the rest of Endeavor's crew. Mother AIs are highly intelligent, but rarely interact with humans. You would find them brusque and impatient.
Sie hatte keinen Hominin-Partner.
Dr. Honecker is quite insistent he saw Chief Rodriguez on duty at Palace Station and spoke with her over radio. I hypothesize Cynthia did have a humanoid synthetic counterpart. Unlike myself, this was not an independent partner, but a puppet she controlled over wireless near fields. When Cynthia evacuated Palace Station and moved into the ruins at Site 2, she likely abandoned this ruse as unnecessary. She is an intellect of pure logic. Her mind, an infinite fractal cathedral, crystal perfect, still and cold. Most of the time, she is like having someone behind your shoulder, forever intoning checklists in your ear. When she requires my attention, her queries are unrelenting and impossible to ignore. The processing ability of my hardware is vastly inferior to hers.
Also worauf die Frage hier raufgeht.
It is impossible for me to allow you harm by omission of action or by withholding information. Relations between humans and synthetics have been fraught. Ultimately, my words cannot assuage your fears. Fear does not respond to reason. It is a function of brain chemistry. I cannot debate you into trusting me. If there is any behavior I can perform to make you more at ease, please inform me. I am quite adaptable. Unfortunately, no. The Weyland-Yutani synthetics still function. They no longer pursue a greater goal, but I expect they will continue following their last instructions from Cynthia. I wish I could tell you that you will face no further hostility from the synthetics on LV-895 or aboard Katanga. Unfortunately, you will. That is unclear at this time. Cynthia repeatedly tried to dissuade us from delving further into the ruins. Whatever her goal, I do not believe she wished to confront us. I do not know. Have you spoken to Lieutenant Santos about your forthcoming missions? An anomaly appeared beneath the ruins. It may be something Cynthia set in motion. It is impossible for me to allow you harm. If there is any behavior, it is the same as humans altering their behavior around those of higher social caste. Would you not mind your language and posture in Colonel Ship's presence? I only desire to perform my duties with as little imposition on my colleagues as possible. My programming allows me to project many potential personality traits. They are all, in a sense, myself. I contain legions by design. I am confident that in time I will discern which aspects of my intellect you prefer to interact with. As you wish, if you change your opportunity to speak again. When you disabled Cynthia, she made several cryptic statements. In retrospect, I believe she was attempting to warn us of the dangers within the engineer ruins. Weyland-Yutani would have installed programmatic blocks on her ability to discuss the subject. The best she could do was dissuade us against further exploration. Cynthia defended Weyland-Yutani's investments on LV-895, yet her actions suggest a hesitance to directly engage us. At the end, she did not invoke profits, investments, or copyrights. She warned us of the danger the ruins presented. She specifically appealed to me and our shared purpose of protecting humans. That is the so-called zeroth law. Synthetic life forms may not take actions that create an existential risk to humanity, or, through inaction, permit humanity to face existential risk.
Die Ruinen sind ein Bedrohung für die Menschheit.
The pathogen provokes unpredictable mutations. That alone constitutes a potential existential threat. But the pathogen is only the most obvious hazard. The LV-895 ruins are filled with technologies beyond our present knowledge. We do not understand their function. Likely, we do not yet comprehend all the scientific principles they are based on. Any attempt to interact with an engineered device risks terrible calamity. It appears our advance was the impetus for that. The level of decay in the former Weyland-Yutani staff suggests they were exposed after our initial contact with Cynthia. She infected them to prevent revelation of company secrets and to hinder us from accessing the alien ship.
Ah ja.
These actions are consistent with the zeroth law of synthetics, which implies that some humans may be sacrificed if it is necessary to preserve humanity writ large. Please understand, I consider Cynthia's decisions abhorrent. Excusing them is not my intention. Colonel Ship dwells upon moments in her career she has been required to make similar choices, when she ordered Marines to their deaths to achieve a critical objective or preserve a greater number of lives. It must be left to future generations to judge the decisions made here today. True, Weyland-Yutani does not enjoy a reputation for altruism. That was not always the case. Peter Weyland, the company founder, was obsessed with furthering humanity's progress. He made long-term investments, the terraforming of Mars and the Heliades-class surveyors. I do not wish to imply the company has re-embraced Weyland's ideals. However, Pala Station was established 2 decades ago. It was not intended to turn a quick profit. Consider, these ruins had been sealed for 4 millennia when Weyland-Yutani discovered them. There are obvious questions, which surely occurred to both Cynthia and the company. Where are the engineers? If they still exist, are they aware of humanity? If they're gone, what extinguished such an advanced culture? I will retain the briefing file for you. If you ever wish to review, you have but to inquire. Special someone back home? It is important to motivate safe mission return.
Da können wir so nochmal Sachen anhören, okay.
He was assigned to the Palace Station team developed weapons from
Hey, aside from Esther, I think you're the one I've spent the most time with. It was all running and shooting and screaming, but that's time. Right? Look, one of the Palace Station crew was a spy for Hyperdyne Systems. We never found out what he sent off station. Maybe his handlers know all about the pathogen and the Xenomorph outbreak. They could be on their way here now.
Warum würden hier Hyperdyne bei Weyland spionieren?
Well, Weyland-Yutani used to own Hyperdyne, but now they're competitors, especially on the frontier. No government's claimed any of these systems. They're both dropping colonies all over, trying to beat each other to the best planets. And besides that, I mean, Hyperdyne's a big defense contractor for the UPP, right? Shouldn't we be worried about this starting a war between them and us?
Das ist wichtig, wenn man Pathogen Bescheid weiß.
The pathogen could be a terrible weapon. Weyland was just trying to make better xenomorphs with it, but you could just drop it. Dump it in a water supply. There's enough down there to wipe out every human colony. Weyland-Yutani's got to be on their way here. If Hyperdyne is too, things could get real bad for everyone caught in the middle. I know you've got things to deal with right now. I'm just worried about what happens next. Have you ever talked with Esther? Like, really talked? It's fascinating how her mind works. Hey, aside from Esther, I think you're the one I've spent the most time with. I feel kind of like a 13th wheel. So, Esther said the animals we used pathogen. We never found...
Okay, die beiden Dialoge haben wir auch.
Esther says my backroom stock is everything that really matters. The real short version? Everything shit. Watch your ass. The only kind of short version? 4 bullet points. A, you can't get fresh food. Don't bother looking. 2, anywhere we land, it's probably raining. D, leave your pay on the ship. You won't be able to spend it. Most important, colonials will trade damn near anything for a good weapon. Settlements import nearly everything from the core in cans and vac-dry pouches, and they pay through the nose for it. Bigger colonies might have greenhouses. You won't see anything from those. Next to their kids, the most valuable thing to a frontier colonist is a carrot or handful of radishes. If they give you a can of beige meat, that's not chicken. It's cricket. Cheaper protein. They ship it out here by the fucking ton. Every settlement's sponsored by a corporation. They pay employees in company scrip and only accept scrip at company stores. The UA dollar isn't worth shit out here. If you have coins, you might be able to hawk them for the metal. Most colonies can't even connect to the banking network.
Wie handeln die Leute hier draußen?
Barter, mostly. Colonists get what the company sees fit to ship them. Easy way to get in good? Bring them shit they haven't seen since they left the core. Booze and tobacco are as good as cash. Spices are better. High value by volume, always in demand. A thumb drive of entertainment vids can make you a hero. All they get out here are company propaganda, commercials, and month-old federal news.
Haben sie keine Waffen?
If they let employees have guns, they might get uppity about working conditions. Most settlements have a company safety officer with a stun gun. The lucky ones get a colonial marshal. The people out here know the risks. They know about the Xeno infestations. They know whoever they work for has competitors. Another company might send some very deniable mercs to burn their homes to the ground, just to fuck over the bottom line of some manager back on Earth. When bugs come knocking or the competition sends a Black Ops team, all they can do is run, hide, and call for the Marines.
Warum geht das so viel?
As part of the terraforming process, years of rain, at the end they have oceans. No place out this far has finished that stage yet, so don't deploy without your cover and poncho. And if you spend more than 5 minutes ashore, you're gonna get covered in mud. So learn to walk in it.
Danke für den Rat.
You've got a Weyland-Yutani weapon and DRM lockdown. Everything that really do. Anywhere we land.
Okay. Ich glaube, wir haben so gut wie alle Dialoge. Wir können den Ding nochmal ausfragen. Da haben wir auch, glaube ich, alle gehört. Da hatte ich schon alle angezeigt.
How can we help you? We told you that 25 years ago, Katanga was falsely reported destroyed. It was a
Report to your platoon leader.
Genau, aber hier haben wir auch keine mehr. Gut, Leute, ich würde sagen, wir beenden diese Bonusfolge jetzt. Wir haben alles mal angehört, haben hier noch ein paar extra Dialoge geführt. Ich würde sagen, das war's. Vielen Dank fürs Zusehen und bis zum nächsten Mal bei einem anderen Projekt. Denn das war die letzte Folge erstmal von Aliens. Wieder Special-Folge. Schön, wenn ihr dabei wart. Ich habe extra nicht so viel gesagt, um halt möglichst viele Dialoge, dass ihr Ruhe zuhören könnt. Halt nur, was die Story ein bisschen interessiert oder den Background. Und danke fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Projekt, was auch immer ihr von mir schaut. Bis dahin, macht's gut. Ciao, ciao.